Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth. I am a transaction coordinator here at Keller Williams, and we are going to do a Docusign, intro to Docusign class. We're going to get started in Command. I'm going to show you how to make sure that your Docusign is linked to your Command, and then how to make sure that specific opportunities in Command are linked to Docusign, and then we'll get rolling where we'll stay in Docusign. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. So what you'll do is you're going to log in to your Command. Once you log in, you're going to click your name in the upper right, and you're going to hit Settings. In Settings, you should see the first thing should say Docusign, and it should say Disconnect Account. If you see it where it says disconnect account, that does mean that your Docusign is linked to your Command. It should automatically be linked. Our team should set it up for you once you get started with the Market Center. However, if it is not, if you see a button that says connect account instead of disconnect account, just let anybody in the leadership team know, and we'll be happy to help you get it connected. So this is just to verify again that your Docusign is successfully linked to your Command. So let's go into opportunities, and I'm going to show you how to make sure that a specific opportunity is linked to a specific Docusign room. It'll just make your life easier. So if you do not already have an opportunity, you need to create one. I am quickly just going to fill in information. So just give me one moment while I do this. Once you have your Docusign or your Command opportunity created, you're going to click this Documents tab. In Documents, this is where you're going to make sure that you have a Docusign room linked to the Command opportunity. To do so, you click this button that says Start a Transaction, and you hit Docusign. It's going to pull up Docusign, and it's going to ask you to sign in. So once you have done the Start an Opportunity, you've signed in to Docusign, it's going to bring you to this screen. This is the Documents tab in the Docusign room. And you'll see it is going to be named what your client's name is, dash either listing or buyer, depending on what opportunity it was. In this case, we did a listing opportunity. We're going to come back to this Documents tab in just a moment, but I'm going to get started and show you the Details tab. And then we're going to move into the People tab, Messages, History. Then we will loop back to Documents and Envelopes, because that's where we're going to spend the majority of our time at. So in this Details tab, it is important to fill out as much as you can, because this Details tab is going to be what links the information to the documents in the Documents tab. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that when we get to the Documents tab. So to put in the information in this tab, you're going to hit this blue button that says Edit. So up here, this name, this is just what your Docusign room name is. So for the case of this, being a listing, you should already know the address. So if you want to add in the address, you can right here. This is just to keep it organized. This is just how you're going to see it in Docusign. So first, we're going to go over here to this right side. You'll see it says Seller 1, and you're going to fill this out with your seller's information. Then you're going to see Seller 2. If you have two sellers, so maybe a husband and wife, maybe a parent-child, put them on separate lines. So you'll put one spouse or the parent, whoever, on seller 1, and then the second person on seller 2. For the case of this example, I'm going to leave this blank. You'll see why a little later. We keep scrolling down and you see it's going to ask for some more information, including the listing agent. So if this is a listing, you are the listing agent, so you'll put in your information. If you are doing a buyer, then you're going to put in the listing information here, not your information. We will get to the point where you can put in your information as a buyer agent later. So again, put in the listing agent, whether that is you or whether that is someone else. I would fill this out in its entirety, including phone numbers, because all of this is going to fill into the appropriate paperwork, whether it's a listing agreement, whether it's an offer. This information is needed on those documents. So fill it out in its entirety. Listing agent 2, if there is a second listing agent helping you with the deal, maybe it's a team situation, something like that, you'll fill in listing agent 2 if applicable. For the case of this, I'm going to leave it blank. So as we scroll down, you're going to see we have buyer 1. This is a listing, so I do not have a buyer at this moment. So I'm going to leave this blank. However, if you are working on an offer, you should probably have a buyer. You would fill out this information. I would fill out their name, their cell phone number, and their email address. If you want to put in their address, go for it, because the address can fill into the buyer agency agreement. Buyer 2, so if you have a second buyer, fill that in. And then buyer agent. So if you are doing an offer, you're going to put in your information for buyer agent 1. Again, fill that out in its entirety: company name, email address, phone number, address. And then if there's a buyer agent 2, if someone is helping you, fill that in. So we're going to scroll back up. So room information 2, feel free to fill this out if you want. As far as I'm aware, none of this information fills into any of the forms. So I tend to leave this blank. If you do have something you are leaving blank and you just kind of want it to go away, if you just click room information 2, it'll collapse it. So then here under location, we can fill in the address. Fill this out in its entirety, because this is going to fill over to almost all of the paperwork that you have is going to have an address. There are some exceptions, but most of them are going to have an address. Feel free to fill out the property type, year built, special circumstances if you'd like, not required. Listing details, if this is a listing, I would fill this out because it will fill into the listing agreement. So I would fill out the expiration date, the original listing amount. Those are what I would fill out. If you want to fill out the rest, feel free to. If you are writing an offer, feel free to fill out this offer details tab. So your contract amount, your earnest money amount, who's holding the earnest money, and the financing type, all of that are items that are going to fill into the offer. This is a listing, so I'm not going to fill it in for this purpose. High bid confirmation, I've never ran into a situation where I have to use that, so I would personally skip it. Closing details, if you do have a property that's under contract, fill that out. Again, this is a listing, so I'm not going to fill out closing details because you're not that far yet. Additional information, so for a listing, feel free, go ahead and fill this out because this information is going to fill in. So listing commission, buyer commission, if you have a referral, fill that out. It will fill into the referral agreement. Then property details, if you want that, feel free to fill that in. Once you've filled out as much as you want or as much as you can, you're going to hit this blue save button. So now it's been saved. Typically you would head into the Documents tab. However, I'm going to skip that. We will come back to that because we're going to spend quite a bit of time in there. So I'll come back to that. We're going to head into the People tab. So in this People tab, you're always going to see 3 people from the start, one of which is going to be yourself. And the other 2 is going to be KW Admin and Wilmington Service Account. KW Admin and Wilmington Service Account are associated with the Market Center, and they should come into every room that you have in Docusign. However, if you have somebody else that you want to add to the room so that they have full access to it, you can by hitting Invite. Fill out this information in its entirety, so the email, first and last name, transaction side, and the room role, and hit Invite. That'll give them an email that'll give them the opportunity to come into this room without having to sign into your Docusign. They will not have full edit access though, like you do, so they will just be able to view what's in there. We're going to skip this Envelopes tab. Again, we're going to spend a good amount of time on that, so we'll come back to that. Next tab is Messages. So messages, if you want to send a message to everybody in this room, including KW Admin and Wilmington Service Account, you can hit Start a New Topic. I personally have not used this, but if you think it's a cool feature and want to use it, feel free to by starting a new topic. Then we have the History tab. So in this tab, it is going to show you the history of everything that has been done up to that point in the Docusign room. So it's going to tell you whenever the room was created, and it's going to be time-stamped. It's going to tell you when the tab, like the Details tab, were updated. And then you're going to see, once you add documents and things like that, all of that will be in here with timestamps of when the documents were added. You'll even be able to see when your clients open or view the documents. So we're going to roll right into the Documents tab. So here, it's going to start out blank. And what you're going to do to add in documents, you're going to hit this button that says Add. You have a few options. However, if you want the information that you took the time to fill into the Details tab to come over, you need to hit Docusign Forms. If you do computer, zip forms, or any of the other options, the information that you filled into the Details tab is not going to come over. There may be situations where you need to use those options, but if you just need to pull a blank document, do Docusign Forms. Once you come in here, you're going to see you have quite a few options. First over here is Groups. And you see we have Working with Buyers. These are going to be common forms used with buyers. Please keep in mind, it is not all of the required forms for buyers. If you want a list of the required forms for each party, you can get that out of Command in your opportunity. It's going to go over all the documents that are required because you do need to upload them there once signed. So these are the common ones used. Then we have Working with Sellers. Again, these are the common ones used. These are not all of the required forms. I am going to select one of these though. We're going to keep going, and you see you have a tab for libraries, and you have Jacksonville Board of Realtors. These are forms that are specific to Jacksonville. In a lot of cases, you're probably not going to touch these documents, but they are here if you need them. The next one is KW978. This is our Market Center, and you're going to see there are 2 forms in here. They are both the Heritage Title, Disclosure, and Selection forms. These are required for buyers, so please keep in mind that if you have a buyer, these are required. The last one under Library is NCAR, the North Carolina Association of Realtors. This is every single form you have access to that is associated with the North Carolina Association of Realtors. So if you have forms that were not under the groups up above that you need, you can get it in here. They are in order by form number. You can scroll or you can search it up here. And as you search, the more letters you put in, the more it narrows the list down. If you want to see what you have selected, just to kind of confirm that you have everything, there's a tab up here for selected, and it's going to show you what you have selected. So if you're missing something, just go back to browse and find your document. Or maybe you selected something that you don't actually need, just uncheck it. And then you can hit add selected. That's going to bring the forms that you've put a check on over. For the purpose of this, just to kind of show you what it looks like when you upload a form from your computer and how to edit that specifically, I'm going to pull in one document from the computer as well. So you'll see in here, one of these says form, one says PDF. If it says form, that means you pulled it over with the Docusign Forms tab. And that means that the information you put into the Details tab is going to pull over. And so you'll see that here, if that says form, that means your information that you put in the Details tab will fill over. However, if you see PDF, it's going to come over exactly how you uploaded it, and nothing that you filled into the Details tab is going to come over. You will have to manually edit it, and I will show you how to do that. You can in the Envelopes tab. I'll show you how to do that once we get to that point. So I'm going to open up this form, and I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like when your information filled in. So you see the information that we put in here, the seller, seller one, the office, the listing firm, the expiration date, the address, the information that we took the time to fill in is here. In these boxes, they're like this because you can add, you can edit stuff. So maybe if you realize you spelled your seller's name wrong, you can delete it, edit it. If you need to add a seller too, you can do that too. You can type that in. Everything that has a field that you can fill in will have this box or an applicable radio or checkbox button that you can use to fill this in its entirety. Again, that is because this is a form. So you'll see up here, document actions, and you have a few options, including email, fax, download, print. You can create an envelope right here. Please keep in mind, if you are going to download or print, you must save and close first for your information to be saved. So do not download and print unless you save and close and then come back in here and open it up. You'll also see we have a history tab. This is going to show you the history specific to this form. So not for the entire room, just for this form. So it's going to tell you when it was updated, when it was viewed, anything like that. And then you also have access. This just shows you who has access to see this form. Once you're done editing it, hit save and close. And we're going to go now into the envelopes tab. So here in envelopes, you can start an envelope a couple of ways. One, by hitting this create a new envelope, or hitting new in the upper right. You're going to create an envelope. The envelope is where you have your clients or maybe even yourself or somebody else sign the paperwork. So an envelope is essentially where you're just buttoning up and sending out to whoever needs to sign it so that they can put their signatures in the forms that you send them. Envelope name, only you are going to see this. This is just what is in the envelope. Just to keep everything organized, I'm big on organization. I named this exactly what's in here. So this is 123 Main Street listing agreement. When you want to add the documents that you want your clients to sign, you're going to hit room documents, put a check on the ones you want them to come in here and sign, and hit add selected. Now, let's say you have a form that you want them to sign that you didn't upload to the room and it's a PDF. You can hit more and you can upload it from your computer. So maybe if you're on seller side and you have a buyer signed offer that your sellers have agreed to, you want them to sign it, you would have them sign it by hitting upload, pulling it from your computer, and it'll come over as a PDF. So nothing in the details tab will come over. Once you've got this, you're going to hit add recipient. This is who needs to receive these documents, whether it's to sign or receive a copy. If you have a form in the room, you're going to have the option for pre-tagged roles. If you only have a PDF, this is not an option. You only have pre-tagged roles if you are working with a form. So if it's maybe you're on seller side and you're uploading a seller offer for your seller to sign, you won't have this role, and that's okay. I'll show you how to add them, separately a little later. But if you do have a form, it will make your life easier. If you hit pre-tagged roles, you can choose who is in what role. So we have our seller, we can choose our listing agent. Once you've put everybody that needs to sign, they're the options that are here, you're going to hit add selected. Now, let's say you have somebody that you want to get this or sign, but they are not under like a pre-tagged role option, or maybe you don't even have pre-tagged role option. You're going to do add recipient. You can either add them from the room if they are people associated with the room, or you can add them by email address. You just fill in their name, you fill in their email address, you can have them sign. But you see, we also have other options. If you just want them to view the documents, if you want them to receive a copy, you can do that. Receive a copy sends them a PDF of the documents. You'll also notice over here on the left, everybody has a number 1 beside them. And if you want one person to sign first before everybody else gets a copy, you can do that. So maybe you want the listing agent to sign first, make the seller number 2, make this other person number 2. This is essentially saying these people will not receive anything at all until Stephanie has signed. But let's say you want maybe TLC to just get a copy of the paperwork once everybody is signed. This is a really cool feature if you have a transaction coordinator, or maybe you want to go ahead and send the contract or the paperwork, whatever it is, to the attorney or a lender. You can make them number 3 or whatever the last number would be, and give the option to receive a copy. So essentially, they will receive a copy once person 1 and person 2 sign. You can leave everybody number 1 if you'd like. That just means they all get it at the same time. But if you want them to get them kind of staggered and separately, which in some cases it does require that, which, for example, if you have 2 sellers, but they're only using 1 email, you're going to have to put one person as number 1 and one person as number 2. That is a Docusign rule. So there are some cases where it's required, but if you want them all to get it at the same time, they all have separate emails, you can do that. Let's say you added somebody by accident. You don't actually want to add them. If you hover over them, you can click this X. That just takes them off. And then for the purpose of this, I'm going to take the seller off. We're just going to have one person. Message to all recipients. This is going to be what everybody who is signing or getting a copy of it sees. So email subject. This is what everybody that is under recipients is going to see. Please remember that. So the subject, again, I like to be organized, so I would name it exactly what it is. So 123 Main Street listing agreement. If you want to put an email message there in the body of the message, feel free to. Let's type that in here. Once you're ready to go to signatures and edit your PDF, hit next. It's going to load. You're going to notice that because we had the listing agent as a pre-tagged role, they already have some fields coming over for signatures. This is only because we had the pre-tagged role option and we chose them there. And so you're going to see that they have wherever there's post initial per the form, it's already filled in for you. Please always double check it. It is technology, so always double check it afterwards, make sure that it's right. You'll notice over on the right, you can see a breakdown of each page. If you want to go to a specific page, just click it and you can go to that specific page. You also can see all of your documents here. So just click the name of the document to minimize it, and then go into your other document. Remember, this one is a PDF, so you'll see nothing came over, but you can add stuff. So if you have a buyer and you want to fill in their name, if you have more than one person, this drop down will consist of everybody that you put in the room as a participant. For this one, I only have one person. But if you want their name to go here, if you click this name button and then drag it to where you want it to go and drop it, this is going to put their full name however they have it whenever they go to sign the envelope. Because when they go to click the link to sign the envelope, it's going to ask them to verify their name. So what they put in for there is what's going to load into full name. For property, we obviously need to put in an address. So you can do that by doing this text option, dragging it over here. You notice we have these white circles, so we can extend it out, make it bigger or smaller, and then you can just type in the address. As we scroll down, you see there's obviously some checkbox options. So you have an option for checkbox. Drag it. If you want to put a check in the box, because it's not automatically there, just double click the box. And then you'll see we can do signatures, because obviously our buyer needs to sign. So you would put signature, and you see that the signature has those same white blocks. So you can make this as big or as small as you need it to be to fit into this space. And then we need a date. So we're going to put in date signed. This is going to be the date they sign it. So let's say you send it to them today. However, they do not sign it until tomorrow. The date represented on here is going to be tomorrow's date. A really cool thing about Docusign is if you have maybe some information that you've already put in and you want to just copy it, you can just click and drag to highlight it, and either Control-C or right click and click copy and paste it. You can drag it to exactly where it needs to go. And you can do the same thing for signature blocks. Now, once you have it and you're ready to send it out for signatures, you just hit this button over here that says send. Before we do that, I want to show you one really cool thing, which is this recipient preview. If you want to see what your client sees when they get the envelope, you can. So you have a few options up here. One is for desktop view, you have tablet view and mobile view. And this is going to be exactly how they see it. So they'll see this start button. This is what their initial block will look like. It's going to show you that. The most common way people do this is on their phone. So you can do the cell phone option, which is the last one. While this is loading, I will say, I would always ask your clients to sign on a desktop if that option is available to them, because you're going to notice when this mobile phone view loads, it is very cramped, and sometimes it does look like the signature or initial fields are in the wrong spot, even though they are not. So as you see when we scroll down, this initial field, it looks right here, but I have a lot of clients that do complain that it looks like it's in the wrong spot. So if at all possible, have them sign on a desktop. I know that's not possible for everybody, but if it is, I would try to get them to do it that way. When you're done looking at their view, just click your little X. And when you're ready to send it, hit send. So you'll see it says needs my signature. That's because I put myself as the one that needs to sign. However, if you are waiting on a client to sign, it's going to say waiting for others. You can click on this envelope and see who you're waiting on. If you need to make an edit, maybe you put their email address in wrong or something, you can click this correct button. You can edit it however you need to. You can even edit the signature fields. Maybe they called or texted and said the signatures, were not in the right spot, whatever the case is. You can edit those as well. You'll go back in here You'll move around or add whatever you need to. Hit continue. Once you hit continue, it takes you back here and just hit send again. This sends the corrected version to them for them to sign. If you'll give me one moment, I'm just going to sign these documents real quick. And I'm going to show you what it looks like when a document is fully signed. So this is also going to be the view of what your client will see when signing. It did not ask me to verify my name because I am signed into my Docusign account at the moment, so it knows who I am. And I'm just quickly running through this. So you'll see once they have signed, this comes up and shows completed. This tells you that whatever you sent them for signature is done. You can click that envelope to view and see exactly when they signed. You can even click view documents. This will show you the documents with their signatures. You have two button options. One is to download, one is to print it, if you need to do those, but you can see it shows you where the signatures are. You can also see fully signed documents in the Documents tab. You'll notice that we now have these two documents that say signed. If you click on that, it's also going to show you the fully signed document. And then you can do this document actions to download it, print it, whatever you need to do. So that is the end of our Docusign training. If y'all have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is closing@kwilm.com. Thank y'all for joining me today, and I look forward to hearing about your success.